Welcome to the Teaching Autism and Special Education Community Podcast. Hi, I'm Nikki, a passionate special educator, autism advocate, resource creator with over a decade of experience, and you may know me as the face behind Teaching Autism. This podcast is your go-to place for practical tips, hands-on strategies, and inspiring and funny stories to support special educators all around the world, whether it's building independence, creating engaging lessons, or finding that elusive work-life balance. I'm here to help you thrive inside and outside of the classroom. Let's dive into today's episode and make a difference together. Hey, and welcome back to the podcast. Today we are tackling another challenging behavior, headbanging and headbutting. If you work in special education, particularly with autistic students, then this is one of those behaviors that can feel really concerning. It can look intense, and naturally we worry about safety. But just like every other behavior, there's always a reason behind it. So today we're going to break down why students engage in headbanging or headbutting, how we can redirect that behavior safely, and 5 quick strategies that you can use in the classroom to help reduce and prevent it. I know you like these episodes to be quick, short, and to the point, so let's dive straight in. First things first, why do our students headbang or headbutt or both? Headbanging isn't just random. It does serve a function. So first of all, let's talk about some of the most common reasons why. So number 1, sensory needs. Some of our students crave this deep pressure or proprioceptive input, and headbanging can actually give them the feedback that they need. Number 2 is communication. So just like with biting, some students use headbanging to express frustration, discomfort, or a need for attention. 3 is self-regulation. So this is a big one. When students feel overwhelmed, stressed, or overstimulated, they might use headbanging or headbutting behaviors to try and regulate themselves. 4 is escape or avoidance. If a task is too difficult, too easy, frustrating, overwhelming, maybe it's just too noisy, too loud, too much, a student might headbang or headbutt as a way to avoid it, because what they may have learned is that when they start to headbutt things around them, maybe the table, or maybe even headbutt their own hand or try to headbutt staff or students next to them, the most natural response is to remove them from the situation. So what we have actually then taught that student is the quickest way to escape and get out of something is to display that behavior. And 5, medical reasons. So there are actually a lot of medical reasons that could be the cause behind headbanging and headbutting. And we know for a lot of our students, it can be really difficult for them to communicate what they may be feeling inside, especially maybe they have a earache or a headache, any other medical concerns like that involve a lot of pain. Even teething can contribute to some of these headbanging and headbutting behaviors. So understanding the why behind why our students are doing this is the key to helping us find some safer ways to meet the needs that they have, but without maybe doing this headbanging and headbutting. So if headbanging is happening for sensory reasons, then we need to provide some alternative ways for students to get the input in a way that is safer. So some great alternatives actually include weighted items. So think of weighted lap pads, weighted blankets, or even compression vests. Things like deep pressure activities, so big bear hugs, joint compressions, wall pushes, all of those deep pressure activities that maybe their body is craving. Crash pads or bean bags where students can safely throw themselves around to get the same feedback that they may be getting from the headbanging. Chew tools or fidget items as well can really help with some regulation. Sometimes it's not as simple as the headbanging is giving them that instant feedback maybe in their head. It could be that it's helping other areas as well. So it could be some oral input as well. And proprioceptive activities like pushing heavy objects, yoga poses, squeezing a therapy ball, especially between their legs. So if a student is engaging in these head banging and head butting behaviors, having these alternatives available may help give them what they need, but in a safer way for them and for everyone else around them as well. So now let's get into 5 practical strategies you can put in place in your classroom to try and maybe help reduce the head banging and head butting and keeping all your students safe. So first of all, you're going to want to find the function of the behavior. I'm sure you're probably sick of me saying this right now, but research shows us there is always a function. So first of all, we have to understand why the student is head banging or head butting before we can effectively intervene. So you're going to want to keep track of when it happens, use the ABC, look for patterns. All of this will help to guide your approach. So imagine you have a student who is head banging for a sensory need because they are craving some deep pressure, then putting in some activities and options that are going to work on escape and avoidance behaviors aren't actually going to work really, because we're not actually working on the actual function of the behavior. We're working on what we think the behavior is telling us, but not what it actually means to that student. 2 is to teach communication alternatives. So if your student is headbanging to express maybe frustration or anger, we need to give them another way to communicate. So again, we could be using visuals, AAC devices, gestures, sign language. Just finding a way that works for them to communicate will help to take away some of that frustration. 3 is to provide sensory supports. So make sure that your students have access to a lot of deep pressure input and movement breaks throughout the day. If we can proactively meet their sensory needs, then we can most likely reduce the need for our students to be headbanging. 4, use environmental modifications. So sometimes overstimulation or anxiety can trigger headbanging. So you can look at things like maybe adjusting the lighting or the noise levels or seating arrangements if you have that set up in your classroom to try and create a calmer environment for students who need it. And number 5 is to create a safe space and a redirection plan. So if a student is about to headbang, gently redirect them to a safer space, like a crash pad or a sensory area. Having a designated safe zone can help them get all these wiggles out, but also to help reduce injury and encourage self-regulation. So there you have it, another super quick podcast episode all about headbanging or headbutting. This can be a really tough behavior to manage, I know, and as the survivor of many headbutts, I do understand how tough a behavior this is to manage in the classroom. I think the most important thing to remember is that if we can find out the reasons why it's happening, we can then look at trying to put things into place to support that student and hopefully take away the need for headbutting and headbanging. I hope this episode was helpful and gave you some quick tips that maybe you can put in place. Be sure to share it with your team or anyone who works in special ed. And as always, if you have questions or a topic that you would love me to cover, let me know. I love hearing from you. All right, that's it for today. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next episode.